A common time for birth to start is during the night, and this reason is perhaps related to how our birthing hormones best work. The birthing hormone that gives you your contractions in that wave-like pattern is called oxytocin. As well as producing oxytocin, our body produces endorphins, which are the hormones that make the work that we're doing of the contractions and the birth feel comfier and easier. Melatonin is a hormone that's produced in dim lighting or darkness, and melatonin can boost the production and activity of oxytocin. So commonly, most births start overnight, and this is likely because of melatonin. Oxytocin is released in rhythmical waves and is best produced when we're calm and relaxed. The hormone that's not desperately helpful when it comes to birthing is adrenaline, and we can likely all relate to how adrenaline makes us feel. So it tends to increase the heart rate, it tends to increase the breathing rate, and as a consequence, our breaths become shallower and less efficient, and we're not taking as much oxygen in as if we were breathing deeply. Adrenaline also makes us wired and on edge. And too much adrenaline during the birth process can actually interfere with the pattern of contractions because it almost competes with the oxytocin hormone for the receptors in the body. To put this into an example, perhaps a lady is at home and she's feeling really comfortable and relaxed in her own surroundings with her birth partner there, perhaps some dim lighting, some music playing in the background. And she feels that her contractions are starting to come more regularly and last a bit longer. And she feels that now is the right time to make that journey into hospital. Or perhaps you're planning a home birth and that is the point that you'd want to ring your midwife to be with you. But say for example, this lady is coming into hospital. She gives us a ring and tells us that the contractions are coming every couple of minutes, lasting a full minute, and they've been like this for a couple of hours, and she feels ready to come in. That lady then makes the journey into hospital to see us. But having left her home environment where she felt safe and comfortable, perhaps a little bit of doubt or anxiety creeps in, and she starts to produce a little bit of adrenaline. Maybe she's a bit unsure as to where she's coming to, who's going to be there, what is the environment going to be like? And as she produces a little bit of adrenaline, that can almost dampen down or switch off the oxytocin. So as she arrives at hospital, perhaps she finds that her contractions have either spaced out or almost fizzled and gone off altogether. And this is likely because of the adrenaline. So what we would encourage you to do is to come into the room where you're going to birth your baby and to make a little bit of a nest. And this is a really important role that your birth partner can play to support you during your baby's birth. So to come into that room and to think now about some of the things you may wish to bring in from home, to have in that room to make the environment feel more calming and relaxing and more comfortable. So perhaps to bring in some music. I'd suggest 2 different types of music, something that's really chilling and relaxing, and you can just sort of imagine sort of laid on a beach somewhere and being really, really lovely and relaxed. And then perhaps something really, really different, maybe something a little bit more upbeat, maybe something that you like having a little bit of a dance to or a sing-along to. Maybe you're a musicals fan, maybe having some things that you can have a good old sing-song to. So having some different types of music to play as to what your mood takes you. What do hospitals smell of? Well, typically, maybe not very much, or it might be that the disinfectants and the cleaning solutions we use have a smell to them that is a little astringent, that is perhaps not so nice. Hospitals tend not to smell of Lush or the White Company or sort of heavenly scents. So thinking about some things that you may wish to bring in from home. Perhaps you've had some advice on some aromatherapy oils you'd like to use, or maybe it's just something so simple as your perfume or your partner's aftershave, or perhaps your favourite home fragrance in a reed diffuser. And just having that smell in the room that you're birthing in will instantly make you feel more relaxed and more comfortable. What am I going to wear when I have the baby? Well, the answer to that is wear what you're comfortable in. So perhaps you want something that's kind of baggy and loose fitting so that you don't get too warm. Perhaps an old nightie or a t-shirt, or perhaps you're comfortable just wearing your bra and pants, or perhaps you just want to wear your birthday suit and just be nice and cool and comfortable. But whatever feels right for you, then to think about packing that. Typically during the birth process, you tend to feel quite warm, but the one part of your body that can feel a little bit cool is your feet. So perhaps a nice pair of snuggly socks or a pair of slippers, so that if the rest of you feels really, really warm, but your feet are cold, then you've got something that you can pop on. Thinking too about your birth partner's comfort for birth. So it might be that they wish to pack perhaps a spare t-shirt, maybe a deodorant, and maybe a toothbrush, so that they've got means of freshening up during the birth process as well, to help them feel comfier. And if they're comfier, then they're likely to be a better support for you. Thinking about snacks. Typically, nobody is going to fancy a 3-course dinner with a cheese course when you're having a baby. And the reason for this is our gut motility slows down a little bit during the birth process. So to eat a very heavy meal, then that food is likely to sit there for some time before it's digested. And sometimes the physical part of the birth process can make us feel a little bit nauseous. So what you want to think about is some high energy snacks that are easy to digest and easy to chew and swallow. So perhaps at home, things like some cereal or some toast, maybe some fruit, maybe some chocolate or some sweeties, anything that you kind of fancy, maybe some dried fruit or some nuts that are going to give you that little bit of energy and are easy to digest. It's also really important to keep well hydrated during the birth process. So just to sip away at plenty of water, or thinking about isotonic drinks, for example, like Lucozade. They're going to help keep you going. Other things you may wish to bring in is maybe a home pillow. So a home pillow is likely to be softer and squidgier than an NHS pillow. If we can ask you to pop it in a pillowcase that's preferably not white, so it stands out from our pillows, and again, to use that to help you feel comfortable. So using it at home, or when you come into hospital, perhaps getting the labour bed pumped nice and high to pop your pillow over it, so that between your contractions you can rest forward onto that pillow and relax. That pillow is soft and squidgy and it smells like home, so it's likely to make you feel more relaxed. Perhaps you might like a little picture of your baby on scan in a little frame on the side. And sometimes this can just help as a really powerful tool for keeping calm and relaxed, to look at this little picture and sort of visualize holding this baby in your arms at the end, and thinking that each contraction is a step nearer to completing that process. You know your baby already, you've felt them move, you've talked to them, you've touched and stroked your bump. But birth is just the completion of that process of getting to see what your baby looks like and holding them in your arms at the end. Building the nest in the room that you plan to birth in, remember about the importance of melatonin. So whilst in hospital we have bright lights if we need them, the best thing we can actually do is to keep these lights off, to use our angle poise lamps to keep the lighting low and to keep it dim. There's very few things that I would advise you to pack for your birthing bag, but one of the things that makes a real big difference to building the nest and creating a comfortable birth environment is to invest in a couple of packs of battery operated tea lights, or some battery operated fairy lights or candles. And there's nothing lovelier than a room just lit by tea light. It instantly helps you to feel relaxed and helps you to feel comfortable. So to get them from a cheap shop, a pound shop, and have a couple of packs ready to go. And this will be one of the roles of your birth partner, to kind of prepare that nest and to get the tea lights lit and create a lovely environment where melatonin is going to be high. And in turn, this is going to help your oxytocin and your endorphins to flow as you birth beautifully. When you're creating your birthing environment or your nest, If you are birthing in hospital, then be aware that there's lots of things that we can provide to help you to keep upright, forward and open, and to help you find comfy positions or active positions for birth. So you'll see in the slide lots of different examples here. Each room will likely have a bed in, but the bed does amazing things. It will pump up to around chest height, and again you could stand forward with your hips nice and open, perhaps resting on a pillow in between your contractions, and the bed acts as a means of supporting you in this position. We also have birthing balls, we have bean bags, we have some foam supports as well. Perhaps you want the back of the bed upright, and you can see that the back of the bed will come almost bolt upright, and this can be a really comfy position to rest in an upright, almost all fours position, where you can throw your arms over the back of the bed, to kneel against the pillows with your knees nice and apart, to keep the hips open, to widen that space. But again, it's a nice supportive position to kind of flop forward in between your contractions and to try and get some rest, perhaps with that home pillow at the top that's nice and soft and squidgy to relax into, that smells like home and is comfortable. Or perhaps you just want space to move around in, and you could ask the midwife to move the bed to the side of the room or to move bits of equipment out of the way, so you've just got space to move around in. Your birth partner can also be a good support to you, so perhaps to pop your arms around their shoulder or their neck and to lean forward into them. Perhaps if they can manage to get round, they can get round and do a little bit of massage on your back, your neck or your shoulders, or maybe even lower down at the base of your back. So know that these pieces of equipment are there, and if they don't happen to be in your room, then ask your midwife to get them for you.